Hello, welcome back. This is the intro to what you're about to see. Because I get into a lot of subjects, but it's all about employment and minimum wage. Try to follow along. I do tend to ramble. There's a lot to unpack here. I don't hit everything in a whole lot of details and particulars, but I think this is interesting, and I think a lot of people need to understand this. So, without further ado, apologize for the rambling. Hello, welcome back. Thanks for following. Thanks for being here. And I had a thought, and that's this. And young kids, young adults that think capitalism is evil because that's what they're being taught, that's what they're being preached by the mob that wants to welcome them as a family, and that the mob is not their family. And I'm just like, what? Things are worse now than they were in the 80s. And even in the 80s, my parents were complaining about the costs of stuff. I can remember when like a Crystal Burger was like a nickel, and they were complaining Crystal Burger should not be 45, 50 cents or whatever. And even though, think about that for a second. How much is a Crystal, or a cheese Crystal, or a chili pup? Now, you go to Crystals? I haven't. The last time I went, I said I'd never go back, and it wasn't for the price; it was the service, or the indigestion. So, in the 80s, I mean, you could $10 could buy a family a meal from Taco Bell. I mean, their tacos were nothing. They were so cheap, like 50, 60 cents a taco, maybe 75 cents for a soft taco, which were fairly new at the time. Burrito Supreme was $1.25, maybe $1.75 for the longest time in the 90s or something. And that's what we're getting to, because the Democrats in the 90s made fun of Reagan's trickle-down economy, which actually was helping. Because the Democrats want to teach there is no trickle down. We don't know what you're talking about. Right. Because they enjoy it. They enjoy the trickle down because it helps make them money, between dirty Democrats and swampy Republicans. Which they're the ones that are greedy. In the 80s, capitalism was ripe. Creativity was on the rise. Small companies were booming. It was a great time. And things were actually cheap. When you have more companies, you have more competition, you have more people employing people. See, there's a domino effect here that the Democrats just want to completely ignore. And they are gaslighting our youth and gaslighting you and trying to say that there is no trickle-down economy, there is no this, there is no that. And so as we start seeing small companies go by the wayside, and from where I work, I can see a lot of this stuff happening in real time. And it was really bad during Obama's 8-year reign. I was seeing companies dying, small little companies. I'm like, oh man, we have this account is closed, this one's closed, this one's closed, this, daggone this, I hate seeing this. And even small churches, gone, and I'm like, crap, and a lot of people don't see this, they did, and it's even worse now. In more opulent areas with strip malls. Gosh, I just miss regular walk-in malls. Strip malls are starting to look vacant after in the past 2 years, in case you haven't noticed, even in nice areas. More small businesses are going by the wayside because of inflation, because we are throwing money at a proxy war we don't need to be a part of. Hello? That's no, number one, that's not helping. That we should have stayed away from. I mean, I don't like what's happening over there either, but just let him take Ukraine. It used to be Russia anyway. This is a them issue. Even though it's very possible we are surrounded by Russian submarines right now. And for how long, I don't know. That they've been out in the waters, but they're there. Canadian preppers mentioned this. Somebody else has been. Look it up. You will find this easily. Just like I went on Brave and started in searching. I know we have one with like 160 nuclear war missiles or whatever off the East Coast. Maybe one near Alaska, et cetera, et cetera. And it's scary. It is very scary. The things that are happening right now in 2023. The State of the Union address last night. Very funny. Joe Posobiec, or Jack Posobiec, tweeted the speech while Biden was saying it. And so I downloaded it or pulled it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here's his speech. This is exactly what the president is reading. Anybody could do this better than he could. He was supposed to mention his Beau Biden son, his deceased son, much earlier in the script than he did, because he missed it. It very interesting, very funny, and I put it out on Facebook, and I wonder if Facebook flagged me or took it off, because it's like nobody noticed. And I'm like, that's weird, because I put it out there while he was still talking. Yeah, he wasn't done yet. And I put his whole entire speech on Facebook. I found that hilarious. But and originally I wouldn't even have anything to do with his speech last night. But anyway, so I just find it funny that we have youth nowadays. Let's get back to the economy, that demand more money for entry-level positions. I mean, small businesses already went through the ringer with Obamacare and 8 years of Obama, and that scare, and it's like, oh, this is a tax. It shouldn't go into effect because it's so obvious this is a tax. Blah 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 blah. Bing! It's okayed. We're like, what? What just happened? How did this get voted in? I'll never forget that. And the fear of losing the benefits from my own job that my job provides, and being stuck with governmental health care. Luckily, that didn't happen. We fought tooth and nail. And that's another thing, taking away competition with insurance companies. Not good. Nationalizing everything. Not good, people. Hello, wake up. But what I'm getting to is this, is as a result of that, small businesses and other corporations, especially what was the limit, 100 employees or whatever, and having to deal with healthcare, and now these poor businesses are stuck, like thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And having to get financial help and going to a lawyer or a tax specialist, and understanding that what went through and what is happening. And it's like, well, how okay, so I don't have to give benefits to my employees or not? What's the deal? And they ended up having to, in order to help make a profit, because you want a business to make a profit so they can grow, so they can make more stuff. Let's say restaurants, just to be able to have, to buy back, to be able to make more food, provide more choices, change up their menu maybe. with the competition with the restaurant across the street, trying to gain more of customers, of your opponent's customers. If you're having to lay off employees because you can't pay their in benefits, and that was another thing, is as a person looking for a job, you would look at certain jobs based also on their benefits. And if certain packages, if certain businesses had better packages than others, you're going to start looking towards, well, I want that job, not this job. Ooh, this company can offer this, has better vision than this one has better whatever, et cetera, et cetera. Competition helps spurn this. Competition helps everything. Nationalizing it takes that competition away and increases prices. And when businesses were falling by the wayside during Obama's reign, trust me, it happened. I saw it. I saw this happening. And we had a fear of where we work based on how many people work for the company I work with. We're like, what's going to happen? Are we going to be stuck with this? You know, it was just very scary, a very scary time indeed, because the dirty Democrats were playing around with our benefits. And right now they're playing around with our pensions and our Social Security and our Medicare under Biden's regime, which is just Obama 2.0 for the most part. And a lot of us that are awake and see this understand this. So if you are young and looking for a job, and you can't wake up thinking, oh, well, I'm going to be a grand pianist. I can play anything. I don't have to practice. I don't have to learn theory. I can play by ear. I don't have to I can just play and it'll happen. Ooh, I'm going to be a guitarist. I'm going to play electric guitar. I'm going to pick up the guitar today and I'm just going to be a maestro. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You can't just flick your fingers and get what you want and expect a skill to happen overnight. That's not how these things happen. Same with the workplace. You have to start at an entry level and work your way up and practice and get things done in a progression. So an entry level position should have and I'm not explaining this as well as I could because I don't know this all 100%, but I'm, like 50 years old and I've been around. Okay. And so an entry level position, if you're flipping burgers, yeah, you're going to get paid minimum wage. Minimum wage should be like $7.50. That should not be your career. This should be a job that you should have, when you're still living with your parents and learning the world, learning how things work, learning to set up an account through a bank and have your money go straight to a direct deposit, to be able to save money and to see how everything works and understand, oh, this is my tax amount. What's your withholdings? What's your pay before taxes? What's your pay after taxes? How much is your real take home? How much of that is going to benefits? Do you need benefits? Are you still living with your parents, et cetera, et cetera? How much are they providing? So there's a lot of things that you have to look into. You can't just boom get it like that. It's like, well, I'm gonna be flipping burgers. I'm gonna be making tacos, and I demand $18 an hour. No, it didn't work like that. You can advocate until you're red in the face. And unfortunately, some states are trying to do that, but only because increasing minimum wage increases everything else. If a small business is already having to deal with, say, Obamacare, say it's still here, but luckily we were able to keep all our other insurance companies, which are still available. Blue Cross Blue Shield is now called something else. Companies changing names and companies buying companies. And there's one, I had one that started with a V for a while, and I can't remember all these companies, but there's all sorts of different companies that provide insurance, not just car insurance. I fear they're going to come after that next. But if you have a, say a 25, 30 hour work week, and you're making $7.25 an hour, yeah, again, that should be a job that you get when you're working living out of your parents' house. It's not something you can live off of, because that is not a career job. If you want to stick with that company and move up and maybe have a managerial position, or own a franchise, or own the building eventually, and you really enjoy McDonald's or something, or wherever you're working at, or Taco Bell or Blimpie, and you get to that point, and you go through their level of progression from the entry level position to the mid-level position to a high-level position to a managerial position. It is stepwise progression, people. You can't just wake up one day and you're like, well, I'm the CEO of a company today. Let me just go to company XYZ, and I'm going to walk in and dress real nice and walk in with my green hair and big earrings and all this other mess and all my tattoos, and I'm going to pretend I'm I'm going to identify today as a CEO of this company across the street. Doesn't work that way. That's not reality. And a lot of young adults, you need to understand, just because you pretend it, just because you imagine it, because you failed to use your imagination when you were young, when you were younger, this isn't how reality works. It's causing, we already have high inflation thanks to this administration giving money to a proxy war we don't need to be a part of. Already surrounded by the enemy in our own country right now, with a very weak president. Where we create minimum wage and increase it to 2 times the amount that it should be. Yeah, a lot of businesses are hiring right now, but at the same time, they're also hurting, because they're having to deal with benefits. If they might push you to try to get the Obamacare stuff, so they don't have to deal with your benefits. Anything to help save them money. Are you wondering why so many places are closing? Why so many? You go to Wendy's, and it might, in the price of Wendy's or the price of Dairy Queen is like the price of how much Applebee's is or was. For a sit-down restaurant is the price of what fast food is now. Hello? There were other factors that happened from the Ides of March of 2020, because the quarantines and everything, and people were taken out of the businesses, and only the big box places were allowed to be open. In the whole fight between who's essential and who's not an essential worker. Oh, well, you're not wearing your mask. I'm better than you, and you got to do what I say. I'm the expert. We went through that, and that also killed a lot of businesses. And we have to understand that if we lose the backbone of our country, we are going to be run by nothing but corporations. Is that what you want? You think capitalism is greedy? Capitalism is the gears behind keeping our country healthy on an economic level, with low-paying entry-level jobs with benefits packages that were designed to help invite you to work for them, for small companies. And when we start losing those small companies, or those small companies turn into bigger corporations that are a little too big for their shoes, that keep wanting maybe more and more and more, but at the same time they're trying to pay their employees more. But if you have only a certain amount of employees and the government comes in and is with overreach trying to say, well, you got to pay, we are, as the federal government, are increasing the minimum wage, so you have to double that minimum wage from $7.25 to $15. And now that small company is like, well, that's going to cause my $2 burgers to be $5.75. How am I going to do this? Because these businesses have business models to help ensure them that they can make a profit. And that's what we were seeing even back in the late 90s, and even during Obama's reign, from Clinton to Obama, and even a little bit of the Bushes, was they try to propagandize and gaslight you that profit is bad. No, profit is good. Everyone wants to make money. This is a country where it should allow all of us, no matter what you look like, to be able to get ahead in this world and make something for yourself. That can't happen without making money, which equals profit. Are you jealous of the grass on the other side? Are you jealous of that VP or that CEO that has the mansions, or a big house, or a pool, or a nice car, etc., etc.? Then that's allowed in this country because you can work to that. Only you yourself, is it the man? It's the man. What man? They're keeping me down. No, you're keeping yourself down. You're keeping yourself from growing. You're keeping yourself from trying to get an entry-level position where you need to be able to learn a skill, to grow and learn the next skill, go to the next step. It's not an overnight process. It's not. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I've had a lot of growing up I've had to do too. But I'm really concerned about the youth right now, because I'm seeing some of this in my own kids. And it's like, you just can't wake up and expect, oh, well, I'm going to be a violinist today. I can play violin. And the YouTube is going to show me how to do it. No, okay, that's nice. Do you know your scales? Have you practiced? Can you read the music? Do you know the difference between bass clef, F clef, C clef, G clef? There is a progression here from no matter what it is, and that includes the workplace. That includes the certain type of jobs, entry-level positions, mid-range positions, upper positions, managerial positions. And now that they're throwing DE and I crap into the mix, it's even keeping even more people down. And they're trying to prop up people as based on color. It's all it is, unfortunately. So they are trying to, which I don't have a problem with anybody getting a job. Anybody can get a job. This is America. That's why people come to this country. Because it was a country of opportunity. Doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, or where you're from. I know people where I work that have gone from these slums to making more than I do, to being on TV. If she can do it, anybody can do it. Because this is America. And again, the word, they're trying to make the word American a four-letter word. Really? Can you not tell that a globalist villain is trying to take over our country? No borders? Allowing how many people in? Millions in within 2 years? And a drug crisis? All this other stuff? This is surrounded by Russian submarines? Oh, but yeah, go ahead. Let's make the minimum wage $15 an hour. Let's make the minimum wage $18 an hour. Though, how many small businesses can we kill? We don't. Profit is bad. Greed is bad. Have you ever thought you're the greedy one? You're the one wanting money. You're the one also wanting profit. You, as a young adult looking for employment. Well, I don't want that job. They don't pay enough. I don't want that job. That's not what I'm looking for. I mean, think Cousin Eddie in Christmas Vacation. He's waiting for a managerial position. He's gonna be waiting a long time. That was the joke. How can you do a job that you haven't prepared for? How can you do a job you have no practice in? How can you expect to do a job if you don't show up to work? How can you be accepted for a job if you're not dressed the part? If you don't look like you take care of yourself? If you don't look clean? You can throw ableism comments at me all you want, but you know this is true. Well, I can do what I want. Well, when you work for that company, you're doing what they want. I was trying to grow a mustache one time. It was where I was working at, and they're like, the manager gave me a razor, shave that off. You can't have that here. And there I go with no shaving cream into the restroom, trying to shave what I had on my, because we dealt with food. We had to wear our hats, and here I am trying to shave my what little mustache I had back then off. You do what they tell you to do, or you have no job. Do you not get that? You are not in control of the company. You didn't wake up and flick your fingers and go, well, I'm the president of the company across the street today. Let's see how much money I can make. They're the evil ones. They're the ones with the profit. I want their profit. Does that not make you evil too? Because you're greedy, just as greedy as they are. Wake up and smell the coffee, people. You're trying to say capitalism is evil while you're trying to capitalize on the capitalism.